One would think that after a few complaints against a cop for like use of force or civil rights violations or something, that the good cops would put a stop to that and arrest the bad cop. But no, that doesn't happen. Not too often. We have a sergeant here who was able to rack up 85 complaints for various different violations and end up getting promoted for his actions instead of punished.
The Detroit Police Department's most troubled officers. Sergeant Stephen Ku's alarming history of misconduct was first revealed by 7 investigator Ross Jones more than 2 years ago.
And now the city of Detroit has agreed to pay out a 7-figure settlement to make the latest claims against him go away. But that officer, he's still on the force.
7 investigator Ross Jones.
Wow, still on the force. How is that? It just doesn't make any sense how it's possible for a cop to commit a crime and not be in jail. If a doctor did the same thing, they would be put in prison.
Jones has more.
Their officers were going out and violating the Constitution, violating their own internal policies and procedures, and it was unchecked.
Among Detroit's most troubled police officers, few compare to Stephen Ku. As we first revealed more than 2 years ago, the Detroit police officer has been accused repeatedly of excessive force, found to have used the N-word, and amassed 85 complaints from citizens who said he terrorized communities of color.
Again, like, where are the good cops to put a stop to this bad cop? Everybody says the good cops will stop the bad cops, but that doesn't seem to happen all that often.
Gangster with a badge. I'm 38 years old. I ain't never seen no evil like that.
While the pain inflicted is unquantifiable, the cost to taxpayers is easy to count. With the latest settlement paid out in December, lawsuits where Ku was a defendant have cost the city nearly $3 million.
And they jumped out cussing, and people took off running.
In December, the city paid its biggest check yet, $2 million to Mark Gaddis. He sued the department after Ku shot him following a police raid at his aunt's house in 2017. Ku said he shot Gaddis because he pointed a gun at him. Another officer supported his account, and police recovered a gun. After being shot, Gaddis was hospitalized.
I woke up in the room. They just kept trying to make me say I had a gun, and just trying to force me to say, you know.
But witnesses said Gaddis.
Yeah, cops will do anything to try to make it seem like their actions were justified, be it planting evidence, intimidating the victim into admitting to things they didn't do, falsifying reports, or, just lying along with their buddies, like in this situation where you had 2 cops lying to protect each other.
Gaddis had no gun, that he was running away from Ku. The firearm recovered by officers didn't have enough DNA to determine if anyone had touched it. Gaddis was charged with 11 felonies and acquitted of all of them.
This was a cover-up of a shooting of an unarmed man, and luckily, the jury was able to see through that.
Allison Krieger was.
Yeah, you would think if the cops actually had evidence, they would be able to, get the 11 charges stick instead of having them dropped. This dude definitely should have gotten more than $2 million, though.
Was Gaddis's criminal attorney and said she was most appalled not by Ku's misconduct as an officer, but by the department's indifference to it. Instead of being terminated, even after being found to have lied.
Now I'd like to make a motion to approve the promotions to the rank of sergeant.
Ku was promoted.
This could not have gone on without.
Yeah, this is a typical thing for cops for the most part. when they commit a crime, they get rewarded for it by their other police buddies because they're all a gang and it's all about committing as many crimes as they can to seem like the baddest of the bad cops, especially if that means stealing a bunch of money from people or something like that. Uh, and it's pretty obvious that cops are well rewarded for murdering people because most of them get paid administrative leave. And then once they're found uh, not guilty of murder because they're a cop, they get a ton of back pay.
People at every level or members at every level being complicit.
Indeed, over the last 2 years, our reporting has revealed officers who stayed on the force after being found to have strangled women, left bruises on children, or used racist language. They remained at DPD.
So, abusing women and kids and being racist is somehow protecting and serving the community. If a person did this to a cop, they would be in prison. But when cops do this to citizens, they get rewarded and protected. How is that right?
Along with Stephen Koo.
Sergeant Koo is still there. They've taken no steps to remedy the underlying problems that are ongoing within the department.
DPD would argue that they have. In 2021, following our reports, newly appointed Chief James White changed how the department monitors risky officer behavior, flagging those with high numbers of citizen complaints and uses of force, those who engage in multiple police chases or were frequently sued. 128 of them were labeled as high risk, with the department pledging to address their conduct. But as long as Stephen Koo has a badge, Gaddis and his attorneys are skeptical that anything has really changed. Koo has been on desk duty for the last 2+ years and did not return our calls for comment.
I hope that they understand that he is not alone, that he's not just another bad apple, that this was a direct product of what was happening within the department.
In response,
Yeah, it's not a department just has one bad apple or a few bad apples. You can find many departments. It's the entire department that is corrupt. Look at like Coffee County, Middle Tennessee, where the entire police department had to be fired because the sergeant and everybody else were falsifying their records and lying.
In response to the settlement, the Detroit Police Department released a lengthy statement that says, in part, an internal investigation reviewed Sergeant Koo and his fellow officers' conduct that night and deemed it justified. You can read.
Yeah, no surprise that an internal investigation by a corrupt police department and corrupt cops is saying that other corrupt cops are justified in their actions. This is why internal investigations of a cop by other cops of their own department doesn't work, because it's just a bunch of corrupt cops saying that another